Here's a game I played, 30 minutes each rated, and in the end I get the winning position and I make the dumbest mistake anybody could ever make. But here it goes, and what I want to show you about this game is it's rare because I'm gonna in the Saragossa C3 E5 and then knight F3 is what I play, and he obviously plays E4 to push my knight out. But here we go. After queen f6, he's threatening my knight, and he's threatening the f2 point. He wants to go ahead and get his bishop out, maybe to c5, maybe to a couple of different places. He might want to push his pawn, his h-pawn down, but he could take en passant. Now he takes d4 in passing, and then knight takes, and I'm protecting my f2 point, but he didn't. Instead, he plays his bishop out of his plan. He wants to go ahead and come in for some kind of mating pattern on my weak s2, and later on you'll find out that the h2 point is going to hang in a way. Attack, and he parries, and that's a very solid move. He has no chances now of taking my knight off except for playing e5, which if he plays e5, then I could always get my knight to e3, and I could bring it into c4 and attack the bishop, and he doesn't really have any place to go with the bishop much, but retreating. And so I develop, and he makes that move, which it's very powerful. Now my only place my knight has to go to h2, and then he plays his knight to there, which is not very threatening. It's not an attacking move, but it's a slow move. It's patient. He's wanting to get his knight to f5, which is almost impossible for me to keep him from doing so. And he's attacking my bishop on e3. He's got lots of different ideas here. And then if I take, my pawns are doubled, and all kinds of things can happen with this queen there. But I want to go ahead and attack. Now that was a dumb move. Chess master all the way wouldn't have played that. It gives me a chance to do my plan. His bishop has nowhere to go. I'm going to double his pawns no matter what. His idea here is after I take and c takes, then knight takes e3, and the only thing I can do then is f takes e3. And notice that my g point, my g3 pawn becomes very weak. It's protected only once by my rook, and it makes it hard to do anything. But I might have ideas like g4, but if I play that, bishop takes h2, attacking the rook, and if he takes with his pawn, I take, my knight hangs. So I had to, and after this he is attacking my queen. I have to take back, and then he has to take back, and we got doubled pawns on different ranks. And then the next best move here I felt was this, because if he takes, then my rook takes, his queen has to move, and my bishop's protecting my h3 point. My knight has nowhere to go though, so I was also trying to make a place for it later on in the game as the way it goes. But by moving my bishop to g2 now, he takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and he's got the advantage here. And that's not a very solid move what he made. And this move was very good because I'm going to push to g5 and lock the pawns up. And I'm going for an attack on his king now. I got all kinds of ideas, maybe even g6. And if he takes, rook takes, queen in. But if his queen's not there, that is. In other words, if I play queen c2, maybe put a bishop on h3 later on, castle queen side, and get my rooks over there, I can do some damage on his king later. And what he wants to do is get his knight active. That's a very good move. It's solid. And here it's just a simple waiting move just to develop some pieces. Now he's attacking my h4 point. How do you defend it? So the whole purpose of this exercise is to see how the game goes from here, and how I found a way to develop around this. Now if you look at the position really closely, if his knight takes, my position opens up a lot. I have all kinds of ideas, as you'll see. I'm simply attacking in a way where whenever he takes the pawn, I'm giving up that for the advantage, as you'll see right here. And now he's trying to push that out. That's a very natural, but I'm going to go ahead and force this to happen. And here my pawns can now play. I can maybe play e4, e5 later. I could play b4, I could play a4. I can get my pawns rolling. And here he's going to attack the bishop, and I'm going to just play a very simple move like that. And you'll see that I get the advantage and I make the dumbest move in the end. It's a rated game, so you can't take moves back, and it's timed, and you can see the timer up there. You can't, when you're playing a computer on time, you don't want to let it get ahead because you're definitely going to lose then. Now here I can't just take it because my pawn's pinned, so you have to look at different things like what is he really wanting to do though? Should you move the king? Should you move a rook? Should you play your knight somewhere? Your bishop? Should you protect it? All these different things come into play, but this protects. That way if he takes, rook takes, pawn takes, and he's got no attack whatsoever. And here I'm going to lock the position up, and he just is simply pushing it. I can just play what I did here, and if he takes, I take. And I'm protecting now the C5, the C4 point, and he's not going to, and he has to lock up the position here, or else it's opening up my rook, and all of a sudden my position is phenomenal. I can go ahead and start attacking his pawn at will. As soon as I got that bishop to protect that, here we go. And now I want to get my king up there. He can't do anything to stop my king to g4, and then I take rook takes, king takes, and I've got a pawn back in my position. His bishop, notice this game, his bishop on ace a8, it can't go anywhere. It's impossible for him to get this into the game. I mean, it's totally impossible. There's no move he can make except for taking a pawn, trading it for some kind of position later, which didn't never happen. I was keeping him from playing rook to h5. I didn't want him to have a move like rook to g5. And now here he's already lost the pawn, but I want to make sure I protect one. Now I take, he takes, I take. And now this is where the mistake comes in. That was a dumb move for me. It was a wasted move, and that was a wasted move. This is where I should have played it in the first place. Here I play this move, and he does that. I should have gone ahead and played... Now, here's where the mistake comes in. If you notice, if I play rook g4, then he's got mate because my king can't go anywhere. Which is what happens right here. It's over. You see mate in one? That's it. So that really sucked. Did you see a winning move for white though? It's a game worth study, and it's only interesting because I played a move that in the beginning which was very bad in a way, but it was more fun to play, and I fought through it, and I lost ultimately, but I really won because I enjoyed the game.